Hey guys, how's it going? I want to share some thoughts on bars, nightclubs, stuff like that. Just because it's kind of been on my mind recently. Not that it's been on my mind to go, but talking to somebody who's kind of into that thing or interested in it, and it's something that I never really liked, even back when I partied and stuff. But I did go to them from time to time. And basically, I kind of grew up in them because my dad liked to drink and he went to bars all the time. And so even as like a little child, I was hanging out in the bars and, I didn't really like it. There was little things here and there that I enjoyed about it, being with my dad. But generally, I wanted to be at home. I wanted to be playing video games or whatever I was into. I didn't want to be in this place around all these drunk people with country music and stuff that I wasn't into at the time. One of the early things that I do remember liking about the bar was that the jukebox. Once I guess I got old enough, started. My dad would give me change to play music in the jukebox, and I'll tell you, one of the albums that really sticks out to me, that was my favorite album to play, especially in the bar in the town that I grew up in. Was the soundtrack for Dazed and Confused. It had some pretty awesome music on there, and it had Alice Cooper's School's Out, and I loved that. And so, there's probably other albums that I played too, but that's really one that really sticks out to me. I love that Dazed and Confused album, and I never even saw the show at that point. I just know that I knew that I liked all the music on there. And, so yeah, being able to play music in the jukebox, that was fun. Pool, being able to play pool is fun. I've never been really good at pool, but I enjoy it. I'd still play it now. And even darts, I didn't really play darts in the bars, but I played darts in a garage with a friend, and I enjoyed that. And so things like that are fun. But also another thing a long time ago that I remember not too long ago being with my dad is that they would sell like pull tabs at bars. They were kind of like a lotto ticket kind of thing, but instead of scratching, you like pull back. I don't know if it was like cardboard or whatever it's made out of, but it was kind of like slot machine where you have to have like three matching things. And you pull back this thing to reveal, what you have, and if you have three matching things, then you win whatever. But that was a long time ago, and my dad would buy those and like let me pull them off or whatever, and that was fun. But so never even really a huge fan of alcohol, even though there's plenty of times that I drink. I always chose marijuana over that, but I did drink a lot, so but generally I didn't like the taste of it. I didn't like how it made me feel, but I would just want to be messed up in some way, so I would drink. So I guess kind of skip to when I was like 21, and so I'll tell you a lot more about me here, things that I'm not proud of, but stuff that's part of my past. And so I started using, drinking, smoking weed and cigarettes around the age of 14, probably 14, 15. And, that progressed, and trying other things and getting in trouble. And that led up to me getting my first DUI when I was 17. And I crashed into a fire bell in town, and I went to jail. And I didn't get like arrested on the scene or anything. I was driving crazy and people saw it. I drove home and I passed out, and I woke up with like paramedics and police in my bedroom, and they were shining lights in my eyes. And so I wasn't even in the vehicle, but I ended up getting the DUI, and I don't look at it as like a bad thing, like, oh, I should have got out of it or anything. I thank God that, things happened the way they did. I definitely needed that. But at 17, I went to jail and I went to rehab, and I got sober for a while. So I was completely sober off everything. And I ended up relapsing around 20 or 21, somewhere around there. And, but during the time before that, like 18, 19, while I was sober still, I was into music a lot and going to concerts and stuff. And there used to be a big local music scene, and we had MySpace, and MySpace would tell you about, different bands that were playing in the area. And so there would be bands that would play at some bars, and there was one in particular in a town about an hour away, and it's kind of like a sports bar that had a lot of pool tables, and they had a stage, and they would throw concerts pretty frequently. And so I would have friends go up there with me, and I really enjoyed that. And I mean, the bands that they would have play would be local bands, but they would be like metal bands. They'd be like death metal or punk or some kind of alternative music. It wasn't like country bands. It wasn't like cover bands. And nothing against that stuff, but this was something I was really into, like an alternative music. And they would have shows where they would have like 4 or 5 bands in one night, and it would only be like $5, $5 or $10 or something, and you could go like all night and see like a handful of bands. So I'd take some friends up there with me, and we would just drink pop and stuff, and we had a great time, and I loved it. If it was still around, I don't know if I'd still go or not. I'm not all crazy about live music like I used to be, but it's fun. But I love music, but I haven't been to a show for a long time. Haven't really had that desire. So when it comes to going to a bar to see bands and stuff, I think that's one of the only main reasons that I see, for me personally, to enjoy going to a bar or nightclub or whatever. Or pool. Like I said, if you want to play pool, a lot of times that's the main place to go, is a bar, or to play darts or something like that. So there are little fun events and stuff in these places where you can go and have fun, even being sober. But, just to go to a bar to hang out, I never really enjoyed that. And I never enjoyed that when I partied myself, because I always just preferred being at home. I wasn't really social like that, or, I wanted to be able to choose my music. You don't go to bars usually and play death metal, most of them. I mean, some of the ones, like I said, where I went to see the bands, they might play stuff like that, but usually, they play like rap or hip hop or country music, or, it's going to be kind of off-putting to a lot of people if there's some crazy loud music playing, some hardcore metal, especially in this area, because, I live in like rural country areas, so maybe in the bigger cities there's lots of different nightclubs and stuff that are pertain to different groups of people and everything, but around here where I live, it's mostly, it's going to be rap or hip hop or country, some rock, but anyway, I just preferred being at home, being able to play games with friends, watch whatever we wanted to watch, do whatever we wanted to do. It was always, the home environment, being able to use your own restroom or whatever. You don't have to use the filthy bar restrooms, but, and, it's also a waste of money, because the drinks were just insanely expensive compared to drinking at home. There was just so many different things that were just better, being at home, just safer in general, no fights. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about the police and stuff generally. And, and I'm not advocating any of this now. I don't drink. I haven't drank for a long time, and I'm not going to. And I'm just saying this is how I was before. But I'm just talking about bars and nightclubs and, how my opinion was and is on them. But getting back onto the point when I was 21. So I was sober for a couple of years after rehab, and I ended up relapsing. And during the time I was sober, I was seeing all these bands and stuff, and I just want to get to this point to where there's this bar in the town that I grew up in that has been closed a lot, and then somebody will buy it, and they'll open it, and they'll kind of remodel it and bring it back to life for a while, and then anyway, it was like shut down for a while, and then this guy that I kind of knew kind of took over, and I was drinking again. And I was seeing a girl who ended up being my fiance, who I asked to marry me anyways, and I bought a ring. And I actually, and I hate to even admit this, but I actually had a lot of money that I had inherited, and from my grandpa who died, and he was very kind to leave me with a lot of money, and I pretty much, I ended up blowing it all and making a lot of bad choices with that. But I mention this because during that time, you know, like I said, I was living with this girl, and I had all this money and everything, and so I thought everything was great. Didn't make good choices, but I was drinking again, smoking weed again, and for my 21st birthday, I was going a little bit to the bar uptown and stuff, and I wanted to throw a huge party for my 21st birthday. And sometimes, I'm about like making memorable birthdays and stuff, or if you want to have like your a memorable, Christmas or whatever, or any day, you sometimes you got to do it yourself. And sometimes it's like, I want to go big and do things big. Sometimes just little small things. I'm just gonna spend time with my mom and eat some cake or whatever, and make it a little special day. Or sometimes, you want to go out and do an event for your birthday or whatever. But anyways, this was my 21st birthday, and I wanted to have a bash, and I had this money, and so I was going to put on a concert or like a show at this small town bar, like these shows that I was going to at the other bar, and I was going to have like 4 bands. And so I contacted these bands on MySpace and stuff, and ended paying each of them money. I didn't care about money. I paid for like a sound guy to come and set up everything, and I don't know how much I put into the show. Could have been like $1,000. I don't know. But it was just something I wanted to do for me. I didn't really care, what the town people were gonna think. I thought that it was gonna draw in a lot of people, and it was all right. And I made the plans to ask my ex to marry me, to propose to her that night as well. And so it was like this huge thing. And and I'm just mentioning this just because it's just kind of a memory of the bar. And, that was a special night. And there's, it's stupid, but it was fun at the same time. It's like, I'm kind of happy I did it, but, and it's not the stupidest thing that I spent money on, but I don't know. It was just a drunken night, and an interesting thing is that I did have a Christian band come and play. They were like a Christian metal band, and they were like the headliners because I thought they were really good. And I asked them to pray for me. Afterwards, I went outside and I was drunk and I was stupid, and I was like, I want to be like faithful to the girl who I engaged to and stuff, and I wasn't very sure of myself because of my past, and I'm like, I don't want to mess this up, so will you guys pray with me so that God will like bless this relationship. But I was just drunk and just I don't know. Anyway, and my parents were there. It was an interesting night. It's an interesting night. And, having the whole engagement attached to it, and then the engagement failing like a few years later, and, all that we went through and everything. It was, it's something. But anyway, besides that, me and my ex-fiance, we went to some bars too together to watch bands and stuff. Didn't really go to bars just to hang out and drink. But that did come later on. So I've kind of got sober, I used a few years and I kind of got sober again. And then when we broke up the engagement, I went back to moving with my mom, and then I just didn't care about anything. So I was going to start using again. And it got to the point to where there was like one friend in town who I hung out with, and he liked to drink, and so we drank together and we smoked pot together. But he wanted to go to bars in in the next town where there was a lot more of them. This was stuff that he liked to do, And, you know, let me think about what I was going to say here. After I got my first DUI, I was like very against drinking and driving. I was very against that. Even though I drank and smoked later on, I would always have somebody drive, and a lot of times it was my ex. Because she didn't drink. She didn't have a problem, I guess, not drinking when we went out or whatever. And so she would drive, or we would always have something figured out. I was very against it, but when it got to the point to where after we broke up, like I said, I didn't really care about much anymore. At first, when my friend wanted to go to these bars, I was like, okay, we can use my vehicle, but you're going to drive if you want to do this. I'm not going to drive. If you want to take the fall for DUI, then I'm going to let you do it. But I'm not going to take that risk. And what ended up happening was after going out one night to the clubs, he wanted to cruise down the back roads and the gravel roads, and he was speeding, flying around corners, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm hammered, we're both wasted, and I'm probably like blacking out and stuff, like I just remember bits of it until we crashed into a ditch, and messed up the car a bit, and anyway, ended up getting the car fixed, and then I'm like, okay, we're still going to go to the bars, but at this point now I'm going to drive. So, yeah. That all ended up leading up to my second DUI, and it wasn't from me leaving a club or anything, it was from leaving from partying with friends, at a house, but anyway, I'm not really talking so much about the DUIs. I'm trying to stick to the bars and stuff. So this was really my first experience of going to the bars just to hang out. This was the main time period. There's might have been some other times before here and there, but this was really, going to the towns, going to the bar, going to the clubs, because it's a college town. There's a couple of clubs. And what we would do is we would always like pre-game, so we would basically get a good buzz going on, beforehand, so we'd try not to waste a lot of money at the clubs and stuff. We'd go in like already toasted, and we wouldn't go in until like the last hour or two of the bar before it closed, like right at the peak time. And I never really enjoyed it. So there's the small bar experience where there was like the locals, where there's lots of people that you kind of knew, and you just sat around, talked and drank. And then there's the clubs where all the college kids go, and they're really playing the hip hop and stuff really loud, and they have the dance floors. And I don't know if I really remember any fights going on that I saw, or being involved in any. I don't really remember much too exciting. It was just, it was just stupid. I was lonely, I was depressed, I wanted something to do. I wanted the potential to meet girls, and, nothing really like that ever happened. It was just, we hung out with, my main friend that I was with, and we had some other friends that we talked to. I don't know. I remember like being on the dance stage one time, and I don't know why. This is always the main thing that I think of. And me and my friend were up there with these other people, and this girl like dancing with a guy, and I tried to take my friend's hand and like put it on this girl's butt. I don't know why, but I did that. I can't really think of anything that's even worth talking about. We just went and we drank and didn't even really make memories. It just made the nights pass by, I guess. I don't know. It's just something I don't enjoy. A lot of people just talk about how the drinks, how it's expensive, like I said. People are shallow, the men and the women. And Men can be rowdy. The bathrooms can be grimy. Um, it was just taking shots, drinking Jaeger bombs, Jägermeister and Red Bull, or Jägermeister and Monster. Um, you know, I've never been a fan of them. But, like I said, I did go a lot, especially during that period. But it was more just because I felt like, I guess, there wasn't a lot of other options or something, or it was the best thing to do because it was what made my other friend happy. And, the potential to meet women. But, never really met any girls there. It seems like the times that I did have interactions with women was the times that I went to the bars sober. And there was one nightclub in that town that had wrestling shows like a couple times, and I went to one. And because they have like an open area, and it's a pretty big, because it used to be like a theater, and it's a pretty big size, and they would actually like set up a wrestling there, and I was able to meet Jerry Lynn, who is a pretty popular wrestler in ECW, and he's been in the WWE and basically WCW and every major wrestling promotion. And some people even think that the movie The Wrestler is like made after him. But me and my cousin got to hang out with him after the show and just talk, and that was awesome. And we were sober. And so I guess for bars that do that, that's another reason. So when bars have like certain events and stuff, yeah, those are the places that will hold stuff like that, but not good places to be. And so, I guess what's more important is my disdain for alcohol in general. But, man, it's just that these bars and these nightclubs, it's such like a culture, that there's lots of people that are into them. And, they go out and they do this stuff every weekend. And they really thrive on it. Women like to go to get attention and to get free drinks and all that. And, there's the drama. And the guys are trying to go to meet the women. But it seems like all that anybody ever does there really is just waste their money. It's just a big money pit. I don't know. I've had a lot of experiences of them, different times in my life. And so I don't even really know what the point of this is, but I just wanted to talk about it. Wanted to open up about some things. It's my thoughts on bars. Maybe anybody who listens to this, you share your experiences or your thoughts on bars and nightclubs, if you ever was into that scene, or what you think about it. And I couldn't imagine being a bartender. That's a job that I'd never want. Obviously, because I've had alcoholic problems and stuff, but I mean, even besides that, it'd be terrible. I mean, being in customer service and having to deal with drunk people periodically is enough. I deal with them when they come after the bars, and it's like, I feel like I gotta be like a babysitter. Like, it's sad, like, people are adults and they're like acting like children, and it's crazy. I guess people could like wet themselves at bars too, and probably like a lot of vomiting. I mean, it's gross, but I mean, that's what happens, People drink to the point to where they pass out. That's what my dad did a lot. And they'd play pranks on my dad and stuff too. Another crazy story was that, not really crazy, but just for me, it was, I remember my dad was passed out in the bathroom one time, and I don't know why I went into the bathroom, if I knew he was in there or not, or if I was worried about him or what. But he was sitting on the toilet, like hunched over, and he was bald. He had like this big bald spot on the top of his head. and people at the bar had drawn like a smiley face, like right on his bald spot. So when I opened the door, like that's like all I saw was like that smiley face. I was like, it kind of creeped me out. I was like, what the heck? And then I kind of realized what it was. Uh, my dad's drunk friends would come stay the night, and there's a couple of them in particular that were very noisy. One of them snored loud, like insanely loud. Like anybody who knows this guy knows that he snores like this. And another one grinds his teeth. And so I was like a kid, a child growing up with like waking up with these. Like I'd be like upstairs, they'd be downstairs, snoring. The teeth grinding, like, I mean, loud. And sometimes they come home like before my parents, like somebody knock at the door. I'm like, huh? And it's my dad's friend. He's just coming over to pass out on the couch. Ugh. I'm like, what the hell? And I've got like a friend staying the night, and like, okay, this is what it's like here. Um, Bars. What else can I say about bars, man? I don't know. Sometimes some of them serve food. I mean, maybe that's a reason to go. I mean, some bars might have some good burgers or something. So when I say that I really dislike bars and nightclubs, I mean like just going there just to hang out is just completely pointless to me. Uh, but yeah, it's just always kind of baffled me in a way. Even though I did it, it's like I don't understand why people do it. But I don't think that everybody does it for the reasons that I did. But I guess maybe some do. I don't know. But I don't know. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else to say about it or why I'm even talking about this. Uh, it's just a part of life. Bars and churches. It's what these small towns have. Bars and churches. In this town that I live that has like 3,000 people, there's like probably like 5 or 6 bars, which is pretty crazy to me. And there might be that many churches. I don't know. There's quite a few churches too. There's the Methodist, and there's like a Church of Christ, and there's Baptist, um, which is like a Reformed Baptist kind of church. And there's the Pentecostal Assembly of God. They're everywhere. And I think there's probably some more, but those are the main ones that I can think of. Uh, and man, at my work, the one of the bars in this town does have bands, which would usually like country bands or whatever, but they um, they get packed sometimes. They actually get quite a bit of people, and then like on those nights at work, it can be like hell, and like you just get like an insane rush. I'm not expecting because I don't know any of these things that are going on there, and then it's just like, where did all these people come from? All these drunk people, tons of them. That's always fun. Um, you wait in line to go into these clubs. They check everybody's IDs. One of the clubs the main one that we went to had like a beer garden or an outside area where we would go a lot. You kind of get away from the music a little bit there, and that's what you got to go outside to smoke anymore because like you can't smoke in the buildings. Uh, hmm. I don't know. I think I'm about exhausted of ideas right now. That went 30 minutes, right? I don't know. It's just bars and nightclubs, they're always going to be around. And it's part of the culture. These college people. It's crazy, too, how, I don't know, how accepted some people are in the bars. And not that it's a bad thing, but I mean, people who, there's a customer who's not quite mentally right, and a really cool guy, though. I don't have really anything bad to say about the person, but it could be very strange, and have very strange conversations. Funny, but you know, like somebody who kind of like lies all the time and puts on these grand stories that he does and everything. Uh, it's interesting how like people can be like a superstar like in the bar, like they're like the regulars at the bar and like, oh, everybody, you know, uh, this person gets to go to the bar and be like somebody special. And I don't know. And I guess that's kind of how like a lot of women are when they go to bar, and guys, and I'm not just saying to pick on women, but I'm just thinking about how, women like to dress up and wear high heels and, try to look their most gorgeous or whatever, and put on their, most expensive dress or whatever, and go to the clubs and get a lot of guys fawning over them. And it's like everybody gets to be like somebody, who they're not or something at the nightclubs. I don't know. It's all but the thing is that really, more than likely, the majority of people there, like, nobody really cares about you. When the last call comes and the bar closes, and you know you go back to being your normal self, go pass out and be hungover the next day. uh you know Nobody really cares, and it's just all a bunch of fake people. So I don't know, I'm gonna end this here. Thanks for listening, guys. God bless.